812 at WIBX. I keep wanting to say 624 WIBX. The last time I was sitting in this
radiothon.
chair, right, was for the radiothon when Bill had gotten sick. Of course, Keeler not in this morning. He is under the weather. And if you'd like to call into the program, you can do so at 736-0186. We do expect that our host, Bill Keeler, will be back with us tomorrow morning.
It was interesting because I wasn't getting text messages from him over the weekend. And as you know, Monaski, we constantly text each other, right?
Ta-ting, 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 ta-ting.
Oh, yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And this weekend, the phone was quiet. And I'm going, something's up. Is Keeler out of town this weekend? And then when I got the message last night that he'd been sick, I felt really bad.
Yeah, and part of this is the weather.
Yeah, that change in weather is awful for anyone. A lot of people I'm talking, and I'm kind of going in a different direction here. Walking Dead season finale was last night, and I know we don't typically talk about it on this show, but a lot of people disappointed.
Okay, hold on. Before we get into
Spoiler
this,
alert.
I had a chance to watch this right. So, spoiler alert, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead...
and you haven't seen the finale episode...
Correct. You might want to
You
not
could turn
listen
it
to
down?
this. Just turn it down for 2 minutes.
2 minutes quick, because I want to talk about this. And this is very typical of The Walking Dead to do this. Now, you and I, Jeff, are fans of the show. We've been watching for a while. And you said to me that you didn't think it was going anywhere this season. There's been slower seasons, I think. But, you know,
Right.
Last night was just typical of AMC and The Walking Dead to kind of, leave the viewers there until they get renewed for a couple more seasons, basically.
Yeah, the end of the episode was strung out for about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything dramatic happened over that 25 minutes.
No.
Nothing that essential happened over 25 minutes, but you were waiting for this thing to happen.
Yeah.
And frankly, it didn't happen. And
but you didn't know about it.
You're a cliffhanger. You're hung for the next season.
Months. Now, they're not going to premiere the season 7 until October.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
With no trailer expected until July, which is where they usually do it at the San Francisco Comic-Con, is what I read. But that's just, with today's day and age, it's hard to keep anybody's viewership up and numbers up. But Walking Dead, they seem to be able to do it, while infuriating their fans, also keeping them on board.
But I don't get the whole Walking Dead thing. I'm sorry. I don't watch the show. And I know a lot of people who are big fans of it. So my apologies in advance. But it's not like, somebody dies and they're dead. Somebody dies and they come back to life and then they can be killed again, right? I mean, there's no real finale.
See, if you're somebody that I'll say this: if you are a human in the zombie apocalypse, at least in the world of The Walking Dead, and you
it's a big premise,
are killed, if there are those that actually love you, they'll never allow you to come back. They'll never allow you to turn, as they say in the show, into a walker or a zombie. Which zombie is never used in the show. The word zombie is never used. They don't refer to them as that.
Right.
No, that's what they are. They have different groups have different names for them.
And I do have a prejudice against. I am prejudiced against zombies. I admit that. I do have a prejudice because even in Game of Thrones, which is one of my all-time favorite shows, I have a problem with the White Walkers because they are in effect zombies, and just that whole storyline. I'm revealing my true prejudice here.
And it's funny because the show has shifted, and you could kind of see it coming for a while, but the show has kind of switched from, the zombies or the walkers are not the primary enemy anymore. And they haven't been for a while. It's just
dead.
something that they're dealing with. It's other humans. It's other human groups that, Rick and his gang, which is Rick is the lead character in the show, and his people, they've just kind of had to be dealing with humans, other groups of humans that. Anyway, I think it's a good show, and it's one of the more popular ones on television, and definitely in true Walking Dead fashion, they ended this season
with a
last night
cliffhanger.
with a huge
Just
cliffhanger.
somebody died.
No.
Yeah, well, we don't know that for sure.
We don't know. Yeah, I guess we don't know. 736-0186. In fact, and this is a spoiler here, we don't know who he hit, do we?
Right, no.
We don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know who he was
And I
hitting.
wanted to go on and I was meant to, I remember texting Bill about this, but AMC, of course, is one of those shows on cable that I don't know if I've got this right. Apparently, I don't have anything right this morning. But the FCC doesn't have as much of a grasp on networks like AMC or FX. And I've been watching this People versus O.J. Simpson. Last week's episode, it was the part. Now, if you follow the trial, you remember Mark Furman was the detective or the investigator who was, the alleged racist and all that. And he had played a tape in the courtroom of an interview he did with some woman where he used the F word and said the N word several times, and FX ran both words.
Well,
now this airs at 10 o'clock.
It airs at 10 o'clock. So I have to tell you.
So I don't know if that's a.
That's not an. I've never seen that on AMC.
Right,
I've seen that on
the
FX.
Curse word. Yeah,
FX.
Sons of Anarchy, there's like gratuitous blood and violence too, at least with Sons of Anarchy from what the little I've seen of it. But that just shocked me.
Yeah.
That they were able to, I'm listening to it and I'm watching it, and then all of a sudden I turned to my girlfriend Dallas. I said, "Did they really just air that?"
Well, there's two things. FX is always pushing the line. FX is, but I wouldn't put AMC in that same category.
Well, they're a cable network, so they're not a news. I mean, they're not one of your basic networks, though. I mean, I feel like they've got a lot of control over like your Fox, your ABC, your NBC, your CBS, but I don't think they're as regulated with networks like that. I mean, what would be the difference between FX and AMC? I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know, but I think that's a decision that FX makes. I don't think AMC is always pushing the line like FX is.
No,
and here's the other thing.
Walking Dead has a little bit, and they've talked about it in. They have a show afterward called Talking Dead, and they always talk about trying to push the border with what they can get away with special effects and graphics wise. But for, I don't know if their argument was, well, this is kind of history because this was, from the trial, excerpts from the trial. I'd imagine when the O.J. trial was broadcast, did they leave in those words when they played the tapes for the jury of this Mark Furman? I mean, I don't know. I didn't follow. Christine, you would know more about it. You followed the trial probably. Mm-hmm. But I just couldn't believe it right there and numerous times, F and N-word.
Well, the F word doesn't surprise me. That is a word that is considered. What's the word I want to use? It's one of the words that you can't swear on television. You can't say that. But I don't know if the N word falls under that same. I know it's a word that you should not use, and I'm not. In certain circumstances, I can understand if they're emphasizing a point that they would include it in there. Obviously, this is a reenact. It was a reenactment.
Well, I would. In essence, they've done this a lot throughout the series. It's the People versus O.J. Simpson. The show is about the trial for the most part, and it gives a little background or attempts to give a little background into the mindset of the attorneys and the people involved. But I guess that and maybe somebody who followed the trial better than I, obviously, because I was young. If they remember this portion of the trial when so Mark Furman had already been on the stand, and then he was brought back because.
And this is a reenactment. This is an actual video, right?
Right. This is a reenactment, okay. And basically the reason he was brought back onto the stand was because he had testified that under oath that he had never used that word, that he had never used racial language, and so he was brought back in because the defense team had discovered this tape that he had done for a book that he had done with an author.
So I don't. It's in poor taste, and certainly, but I don't think the FCC would. You're saying they use the F word as well?
The F word as well.
Ah, that's interesting to me. I guess I have seen that before. I don't know how they get away with it. So to answer your question,
do they just take the fine?
I don't have an
say,
answer.
Okay, well, we're going to get fined for this, but for the integrity of the show and because we've got the money, let's just keep it in. And
they say it's the cost of doing business, so we'll throw it in and take the fine. I don't know if that's the case, but FX always definitely pushes the line. I don't think so much with AMC. And then Christine, if we can bring you into this because your show is back on. It's a show actually you say when you talk about The Walking Dead, you're like, I don't get it. I'm not into it. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about Game of Thrones.
And, I haven't watched the current season of Game of Thrones. I've been trying to catch up on everything else that you guys have been talking about, which is Better Call Saul, Nurse Jackie.
Great, yeah. Are you watching that?
Yeah.
Better Call Saul I'm done with. Well, I haven't seen the newest episodes.
I
I've just
didn't see last Monday, and then is the season finale tonight?
No, they've got 3 more. Okay. It's tonight, and then 2 more episodes for that.
I have to binge watch because I have no patience or tolerance for things that happen anymore like that night. First of all, I can't stay up that late, but second, I just rather.
I was
watch
talking
it.
to somebody yesterday who said they prefer to wait until the seasons end and binge watch.
Yeah,
even if
that's
it's
how
a
I am
live
now.
show, so they'll record all of them or go back on Hulu or on demand or whatever and rewatch it. I can understand. I'm somebody who likes to watch it live if I can, but I can understand the idea of watching it all at once because sometimes even with a week you miss details, you forget about things. Whereas you're binge watching, you get an idea, I think, of the full story of things, and you can kind of pick up on little nuances or Easter eggs, as people call them. But I don't know. It's just your personal preference.
I'd rather watch.
I don't have time to binge watch. I barely have time to catch up on the shows or watch the shows that I have. So if you've got the time, sure, binge away. I say.
I'd rather watch like a live debate on C-SPAN than
for
binge
crying
watch.
out loud.
I know
to fall asleep
I know.
or just to watch. Okay.
For me, that's more exciting than waiting for the live. It used to be, I used to look forward to Thursday nights. Every Thursday night, Keeler and I talk about how Sunday used to be like the big family night on television. I used to look forward to that very much.
Yeah.
I just don't anymore. I don't know if it's because I have children or because I keep such a weird schedule, but I'd rather just binge watch those kind of shows and check them off my list.
Yeah. Better Call Saul is what I'm actually disappointed in. I'm afraid I know where it's going, and I don't like where it's going. And to be honest with you, I think it's very obvious. I think it's very, very obvious. But
they had a strong first season.
It was interesting.
And
it was definitely interesting, but I don't know how much further they can go with this.
I've heard people say this is better, and I've actually heard people say this. It's better than Breaking Bad so far.
Now, Breaking Bad,
Now, I loved both. I love Better Call Saul still. I still have not gotten off being addicted to that show. But to go as far as to say that it's better than Breaking Bad,
all right, we've got to move on. But let me ask you this question.
I know.
We've got to
sorry.
ask you this question. In Breaking Bad, Saul, his name isn't Saul, though, is it?
It is. Saul Goodman.
Well, that's not his name is Jimmy, but he goes by Saul Goodman.
In Better Call Saul.
In Breaking Bad, right?
Right.
He goes by Saul Goodman. As a what? A sleazy attorney, right?
Yeah, as like one of those, highway billboard, bus benches.
Well, just because you have a highway billboard doesn't mean you're sleazy.
Right.
But this guy represents all kinds of criminals. He's involved in certain
aspects, yeah.
Right? This is from the Breaking Bad series. So now before, this depicts him as what? He's really a good guy.
He's a sweetheart.
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like trying so hard to be such a good guy, and he keeps getting bashed in the head every time he tries to do something good.
So, but this spin-off series, which is before Breaking Bad, it's going to what? Show how he became corrupted, right?
Well, but did he really become corrupt in Breaking Bad, or he just kind of he represented bad guys? He didn't really become corrupt.
He really stretched the law.
Yeah, interestingly enough, with this spin-off, it's so confusing because this was supposed to be Breaking Bad. Like, Breaking Bad was not what Vince Gilligan, who is the creator of both, wanted to do. Better Call Saul was going to be first. You have a lot of the characters, and they're even using promotional say, "Oh, Better Call Saul's going bad," because they have a lot of the characters from the cartel and stuff that are in there. But I just think I don't think it's going to have any connection to Breaking Bad ultimately.
7360186 if you want to weigh in. We went off on a little television show tangent here. We'll take a break and come back. Still to come, State Assemblyman Anthony Brindisi and State Senator Joseph Griffo, both scheduled to join us to talk about the budget. And, of course, there is news about the hospital coming to downtown Utica. Stay tuned for that. This is First News with Keeler in the Morning on WIBX.